Welcome to Haunted FM, where every whisper has a story and every shadow has a name. Tonight, Estelle will take you deep inside a place most people avoid. Not because of what is still, but because of what refuses to leave. A forgotten asylum, sealed shut for decades. But when a group of friends decides to explore its halls, they find out the patients aren't gone. They're still waiting. So turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and prepare yourself for tonight's true story. This abandoned asylum isn't empty. This is an abandoned asylum that's been covered up by the government for decades. Locals call it Briarcliff, and it's said to be one of the most haunted places on earth. It was here where patients were abused and experimented on illegally, and no one knows what really happened to all of them. But it's believed their souls are still trapped here. That is until now, because today, a group of friends are going to explore it. They will soon regret that decision. It all started when a group of 6 college friends decided to go ghost hunting at this abandoned insane asylum. Their cameras and flashlights would soon reveal some terrifying secrets. After hours of searching, they realized they weren't alone. Something was following them through the asylum. As they continued their search, they heard strange whispers, moans, screeches, and even footsteps. Some of the friends were getting scared, but others were excited. This was exactly what they had hoped for. Suddenly, one of the girls named Donnie heard her name being whispered. She couldn't believe her ears. No one else seemed to hear it, though. The voice sounded like it was coming from inside the walls. Was someone playing a trick on them? Or was there really a ghost in the asylum? After hearing the whisper, Donnie and her friends walked over to the next room. It looked like an old padded cell where the walls were covered in scratches and markings. There were also some fresh footprints in the middle of the room. It didn't make any sense. No one should have been in there. They turned their flashlights towards the corner of the room, and their eyes grew wide in horror. There was something standing in the darkness. It was tall and thin, and it seemed to be staring right at them. The friends ran away screaming, but the strange creature followed them down the hallway. They ran and hid in another room, and when they turned their flashlights back on, the creature was gone. Was it a ghost or something else? What did it want with them? They continued exploring the asylum, trying to find answers. As they searched, they found old patient files that told the story of what happened here. One of the patients, Sarah Blackwood, had been admitted to the asylum after she began hallucinating. In her file, there was a note that read, "Beware the asylum, it hungers for human flesh." Was Sarah trying to warn them? Had something terrible happened to her and the other patients? Did they get free and now they're haunting the asylum? They didn't know. Then suddenly, all their flashlights cut out, plunging them into total darkness. They could hear chains dragging, metal moans, and footsteps approaching them. The friends panicked and ran in the wrong direction. They bumped into each other and fell to the ground. When their flashlights turned on again, the room was empty. They kept hearing strange noises and saw disturbing things around them, like drawings of shadowy figures reaching out from behind trees. But when they tried to investigate, they couldn't find anything. As they continued exploring, they came across the word "stay" written over and over again. It was scrunched onto every wall, floor, and ceiling. At first, they thought it was just a creepy message from a ghost, but then they realized something more sinister was going on. The word "stay" wasn't just a warning, it was a command. They were being told to stay in the asylum. Whoever was behind this wanted them to stay forever. Was it the asylum itself, or something else? The friends tried to leave, but no matter how many times they walked through the front door, it always brought them back to where they started. They were trapped in the asylum, and whatever was inside was watching them. They could feel its presence getting closer. As they explored further, they came across a secret passageway that led to a basement. The basement was filled with cages, bloodstains, and old medical equipment. It was clear that terrible things had happened here. But what were they? Who were the victims? One of the friends, Marcus, went deeper into the basement. He found a door that said "staff only." It was locked, but he managed to break it open. On the other side was a small room with a single camera. Marcus turned it on, and they all watched the live feed together. At first, it showed nothing. Then suddenly, they saw a mysterious 5th figure standing behind Marcus. It was tall and thin, just like the creature they had seen earlier. It had its arms outstretched, and it looked like it was trying to grab Marcus. He didn't seem to notice, though. He kept walking deeper into the asylum. The friends were terrified. They knew they should run, but they couldn't move. They were frozen in fear as they watched the live feed. Suddenly, the image on the screen changed. It showed the creature standing over Marcus's body. He had vanished. It was as if he had never existed. The creature turned its head towards the camera. Its face was pale and gaunt, and its eyes were black and soulless. The friends screamed and ran away, but the creature was faster. It lunged towards them and knocked one of them unconscious. It was only then that they realized the basement had been empty. The creature hadn't actually been there. It had been stalking them the whole time. They didn't know it, but the asylum was protecting its prisoners. It didn't want them to leave. It was trying to keep them inside forever. When Donnie woke up, she found herself in a dark, dank basement. The air was heavy with the stench of decay, and the only light came from a single flickering bulb hanging from the ceiling. She struggled to sit up, and as she did, she noticed that she was alone. Her friends were nowhere to be seen. She called out for them, but her voice echoed back at her, mocking her. Panic began to set in. Where were they? Had the asylum taken them? Was it holding them captive? She didn't know. As she stumbled around in the darkness, she began to find strange symbols carved into the walls. They looked ancient and otherworldly, and she had no idea what they meant. Suddenly, she heard a noise. It was a dragging sound, like someone was being pulled along the floor. She froze, her heart pounding in her chest. Was she imagining it? Or was someone else in the asylum with her? She tried to call out, but her voice caught in her throat. She couldn't speak. Then she heard a voice. It was a low, raspy voice that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Don't move," it whispered. "Don't try to escape. You can't." Donnie fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face. In the distance, she saw a faint light. Hope surged through her. Maybe she could escape. She crawled towards the light, but as she did, the voice grew louder. "Stay," it hissed. "You're not allowed to leave." Donnie turned around and saw the creature standing behind her. It was taller than she'd realized before, and its face was twisted into a grotesque grin. She screamed and tried to run, but the creature was too quick. It lunged towards her and wrapped its cold, bony fingers around her neck. She struggled to breathe, but its grip was too tight. As darkness closed in around her, she saw her friends standing in the doorway. They were watching her die. With a final surge of strength, she clawed at the creature's face. Its eyes rolled back in its head, and it let out a deafening roar. Then everything went black. The next morning, the police arrived at the asylum to search for the missing friends. They brought in dogs and helicopters, but there was no sign of them anywhere. The entire building was sealed off with yellow tape, and a heavy police presence remained outside. But what they didn't know was that the asylum was protecting its prisoners. It didn't want them to leave. It was trying to keep them inside forever. Hours later, one of the friends, Dylan, received a package in the mail. It was a small box wrapped in brown paper. He opened it and found a dusty old GoPro camera. It was Marcus's camera, but why had it been sent to him? As Dylan looked through the footage, he found something terrifying. Marcus had been followed by a strange creature for weeks. It had stalked him through the asylum, whispering threats in his ear. Then, in the last clip, Marcus was seen running for his life. The creature was close behind him, its breath hot on his neck, and then the screen went black. Dylan put the camera down. His hand was shaken. The video had ended abruptly. He rewound it and played it again. As he watched, his blood ran cold. The video didn't end there. There was one more clip. In this one, Marcus was lying on the ground, his eyes wide with terror. His mouth was open in a silent scream, and his face was contorted in pain. And then the camera panned up to reveal a horrifying sight. It showed a pair of hands. They were skeletal and emaciated, and they were clutching a bloodied meat cleaver. Then the screen flashed white and the video ended. Dylan looked at the clock. It was 3:33 a.m., the same time Marcus disappeared. Then he heard a knock at the door. He jumped and spun around. Who could it be? He crept closer and put his eye to the peephole. On the other side of the door was a bloodied meat cleaver, and underneath it, a handwritten note. "You left someone behind," it read. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe for more scary stories. Until next time, don't forget, stay safe.